Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to part 4 of This Will Be Zombie Month. Still playing Dead Rising 2. I totally didn't die and have to restart or anything and lose a bunch of my stuff. No, that didn't happen. How do I put this down? Anyways. So, definitely didn't lose anything, so I definitely don't have to redo the mission where I have to go get Zombrix or anything. Nope, so didn't do that. So today we're going to be reviewing a movie called White Zombie, starring Bela Lugosi. It was made in 1932. It's 80-some years ago. 81. Old, very old. For those who don't know, Bela Lugosi's famous for playing Dracula, among other things. He also played Frankenstein, and he may have been the Wolfman at one point, but he's most famous for Dracula. So, White Zombie's the first the first real zombie movie at all. It's not even a modern zombie movie. Features the old school zombie voodoo zombies that you don't really see too much anymore. How's all this crap? So, oh my gosh, things are happening. Yeah, it's fantastic. Finding things. So, White Zombie, as you can tell from, the when year it was made, it's old as dicks. But still a very quality film. The music in it is very well done. It fits the mood, even if it's a little over the top, Universal Studios kinda dun 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 when dramatic things happen, like that level of ridiculousness. But I definitely wanted to close that door. But Bela Lugosi's really good in it. He's genuinely very creepy. He plays the main antagonist in it.
Hey there. Hello. Anybody home?
I like just yelling. But I don't know if Katie's gonna make it through this. We'll see. Right now we're going to focus on murdering zombies. So Bela Lugosi's really good. I guess when it came out, a lot of the critics thought that all the other actors were basically terrible. I don't think they were bad, especially considering the time period. I don't think they were great. But I think the lady that plays the female lead is very good, especially spoiler alert, she gets turned into a zombie. And she doesn't overact, and she sells it pretty well as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, the acting isn't fantastic. It was made in 1932. I don't know what you want. But the movie was actually declared pretty bad upon its initial release, and only, in its contemporary times has it been kind of celebrated and thought of as any good. But they have the Haitian voodoo zombies, so the zombies that aren't just mindless killing machines, they just follow orders from Bela Lugosi and whatever. And the plot of the movie is they're heading out to Haiti, and they're going to get married by this one missionary, who the missionary is actually pretty boss. He's a pretty cool guy. And he actually saves the day a couple of times in the film. But so the guy whose estate they're getting married on falls in love with a girl, and he decides that he's going to marry her. Obviously, doesn't really go too well as she's about to get married that day. But he makes a deal with Lugosi and turns into a zombie under his control. Now, all seems fine and dandy, even though I don't think zombie sex would be very great. I feel like that would be kind of that might not go well. But anyway, so he does it anyway, and eventually decides that he doesn't like how she's dead and stuff, and probably not really good in the sack, if you know what I mean. So he convinces Bela Lugosi to undo it, but Lugosi is the bad guy and doesn't want to do it. Plot happens. The husband shows up and basically wrecks up the place, and zombies happen, and Zombies are actually pretty good in that. They're actually pretty creepy, and like I said, the female lead in it, pretty good. She plays a fairly convincing zombie bride. This is brutal. There's just murder everywhere. Look at this. Just ass whoopings everywhere. The main lead, he's good. playing the the tortured soul because he thinks his wife is dead for most of the movie. It's pretty paper thin plot, pretty generic. It would be considered trite by today's standards, and the movie eventually ends with he finds his wife, and Bela Lugosi tries to convince her to murder him because he zombifies people and then controls them, blah 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 blah. And he's a bad guy, and he's he zombifies all of these people. Oh, a belly knife? That's pretty boss. Cha-cha, cha-cha, could you? Cha-cha, cha-cha. So he tries to kill her, she tries to kill him, and power of love, and she recognizes him, and she's like, oh no, I can't kill you, my husband, oh my god, I love you. And the guy that initially fell in love with her kind of shows up, and he finds out that he's actually getting turned into a zombie, so he is understandably upset by this. And he realizes Bela Lugosi is only out for himself. I'm gonna knife these. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Eat it, nerd. So he shows up, and after the missionary saves the day and stops her from killing him, and she realizes that she loves her husband still, he shows up and it essentially exacts revenge on Bela Lugosi's character, and they, in a very movie-esque thing. Oh my gosh, I don't care about this. Please. Thank you. Please stop. I don't care. Don't care. They grapple at each other, and then thank you. Oh my gosh. They tussle for a bit, and they fall, and it's actually really. You can definitely tell they used a dummy. Oh, I can hit people with computer monitors. Oh, this is. Yeah, that's probably not gonna go too well. A burrito. I'm gonna need one of these. But you can definitely tell it's from a different era. Movies were totally different then. You can tell that they were just barely making it out of the plays. They were essentially plays in front of cameras.
So great.
I'm gonna save this chicken. It's gonna be great. Let's go.
Keep moving.
No, I don't. No, I don't want to shut up. Crowbar will do. Because even when you see a lot of the shots, they're very generic. Like in front, the characters are all facing the camera while facing each other. They don't do a lot of cuts. There's not a lot of great cinematography. Not a lot of great editing because it was made in 1932. So, but you can tell the movie as a media really hadn't come too far. It's this weird age before, movies were actually movies. They were just kind of like I said, plays in front of cameras. Eventually they get better, especially zombie films. The one thing about White Zombies, it's not actually scary. I suppose it would have been scary in 1932 because there is a couple of creepy scenes with Bela Lugosi and the zombie wife, and the zombies themselves attack a couple people. But is it interesting how zombies back then were only thought of as in Haiti, and that's really the origin of it is the Haitian voodoo zombies that are under people's command. And now when you think of zombie, you automatically think of something that's similar but different. You think of infected people, eating people, or occasionally basically reanimated corpses and they attack people and want brains. But in that movie, they're more just people without any higher cognitive function and don't really think for themselves and just obey. So it's weird how movies, really media in general portraying zombies has come from that. And obviously movies rarely ever go that way with zombies. You don't see voodoo zombies under people's control really ever anymore. I think the only other movie I can think of that really did that was The Serpent and the Rainbow, which I may or may not get around to reviewing. But usually it's the Romero style where, zombies and eating people and da-da-da-da-da and this and that. But overall, White Zombie, pretty good film. If you're a film buff, pretty solid film. Oh, I apparently left Denise behind. Denise needs to get it together here. So many loading screens. So White Zombie, pretty good movie. The plot's pretty trite by today's standards, and the acting isn't that great by today's standards. And, the cinematography and effects are obviously very dated, but I still think it's a good movie. It was definitely worth my time. Bela Lugosi is almost reason enough. Bela Lugosi is just legitimately awesome in everything he's in. I've never seen him in a bad movie. The Missionary's pretty great. I don't think he ever went on to be famous. I feel like the main male lead is famous, but I don't know his name, and I don't know what else he was in. But
So much.
if you're into really old school movies, particularly horror films like the Universal Studios-esque films, definitely want to give White Zombie a shot. And I think that will do it for today's